I spent 3 years at Pinnacle Digital as a mid-level marketing strategist, and honestly, I loved it. The work was engaging, the office culture felt genuine, and I'd finally found a place where I could actually build something. My boss was this guy named Marcus, sharp, ambitious, always talking about how we were going to revolutionize the industry. We got along great. He'd mention me in meetings, give me meaningful projects, and seemed genuinely invested in my career. Or at least, that's what I thought. The company had been pitching for a massive contract with Vertex Corp, this huge tech conglomerate. It was the kind of account that could absolutely transform our agency's trajectory. Marcus assembled a core team to develop the pitch, and I was thrilled when he asked me to lead the strategy component. This was my shot to prove myself, to show I could handle something at that level. For 2 months, I poured everything into it. I mean everything. Late nights, weekends, turning down plans with friends because I was so invested in getting this right. I developed this comprehensive market analysis, competitor benchmarking, and this innovative customer journey mapping approach that I was genuinely proud of. The strategy was solid, creative but data-driven, ambitious but achievable. I presented drafts to Marcus regularly, and he kept saying it was exactly what he'd imagined, that it was brilliant, that Vertex was going to love it. Then came pitch day. I assumed I'd be in that meeting. I was the one who built the strategy from the ground up. But Marcus pulled me aside that morning and said the conference room could only fit so many people, that he and 2 senior creatives would handle the presentation, but my work would absolutely be the foundation of everything. He told me to stick around the office, that he'd fill me in on everything as soon as they got back. I remember feeling a little disappointed, but I trusted him. I thought, okay, this is just how these things go sometimes. They were in that meeting for 4 hours. When Marcus finally got back to the office, I was the first person he wanted to see. Except he didn't come to my desk. He called me into his office, closed the door, and told me Vertex wanted to move forward. They loved the pitch. They wanted to sign a contract. I jumped up to congratulate him, genuinely thrilled that all that work had paid off, and that's when he said something that made my blood go cold. Yeah, they really responded to the strategy I developed, he said. I think this is going to be huge for us. I didn't say anything at first. I just stared at him. I said, the strategy you developed? He kind of laughed it off, said something about how he directed the whole thing, guided the process, refined the concept. And then he added that management was already talking about promoting him to director level because of this massive win. He literally said, this is my break, you know? This could really change everything for me. I felt like someone had punched a hole through my chest. I didn't lose my temper. I didn't yell or cry right there in his office, though I wanted to do both. Instead, I calmly explained that I had created the strategy. I had the drafts, the notes, the email chains showing every step of the process. Everything was documented and dated. I asked him how he thought he was going to take credit for something I'd built from scratch. Marcus's whole demeanor changed. He stopped smiling, and something darker crossed his face. He told me, very matter-of-factly, that I needed to understand how corporate politics worked. He said I was valuable, but I was also replaceable, that my role was to develop ideas and his role was to sell them. He said if I wanted to advance in this industry, I'd need to understand that credit flows upward, and if I decided to make this difficult, I'd find myself sidelined pretty quickly. Then he told me to get back to work. I walked back to my desk in a daze. I felt utterly powerless. He was right that I was replaceable, and he was right that going against him would be seen as junior staff being difficult or ungrateful. Over the next few weeks, I watched him get celebrated. Marketing industry publications mentioned his innovative approach. The company threw a congratulations lunch, and he stood up and talked about his creative vision. Nobody mentioned me. Nobody even knew I'd existed in that process. That's when I started documenting everything. Every email, every draft, every iteration. I got copies of all my work. I didn't do anything immediately because I was too hurt, too confused to think straight. But I knew I wasn't going to let this go. 3 months later, I learned that Vertex was implementing my customer journey strategy across their entire organization, and they wanted to bring me on as a consultant to oversee the rollout. They'd seen the implementation details and were impressed enough that they specifically requested me. Marcus tried to block it at first, but I'd already made contact directly with Vertex's CMO. I went to that meeting with my comprehensive documentation, every email, every iteration, every piece of evidence showing that the strategy was entirely mine. The CMO was furious. She called our CEO immediately. Within a week, an internal investigation confirmed everything. Marcus had straight up taken credit for my work and had actively tried to prevent me from getting external credit. The company was mortified, especially since they'd already promoted him on the basis of a strategy he didn't create. He was fired. Just like that. No second chance, no demotion, gone. The CEO personally apologized to me, asked me to stay, and offered me a significant promotion and raise. I considered it, but honestly, I couldn't look at that office the same way anymore. I took the consulting contract with Vertex instead, and it completely changed my career trajectory. The best part? I saw Marcus's LinkedIn update about 6 months later. He'd taken a junior analyst role at a startup. Not director level, not even close.